Welcome everyone. It's the World Mental Health Day, World Mental Health Week, and we're here at Novo Symposium. This is what the fourth,
The fourth, yes.
the
It
fourth
started
one.
in 2015.
Yes, and I've attended every one of them. Yes, yes. So it's a great time to discuss mental health and how it's affecting our society. I'm very excited for the panel that we have today. Just a really nice, casual discussion, and we want to discuss more and talk about solutions. So I'm starting from my far left. I have Dr. Osas, Dr. Deji Osasona, popularly referred to as Dr. Osas. You're welcome, Dr. Osas. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Osas, I'll come back to you. We have Dr. Dorothy, who is the host and the MD CEO of Novo Health Africa, also of Novo Symposium 2019.
I'm
Welcome,
happy that
Doctor.
we're gathered here once again. And thank you.
We have Dr. Naya Undupu. Did I say that right? Yes, Dr. Naya, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and then we have the catalyst himself, Larry Lushola, on the discussion. Yes. So before we, just to give some context, before we start diving into the discussion, I'd like for you to say just a little bit about yourself and what you do. Everybody here on this panel, everybody here, even, sitting with us, they're all somehow, connected, to their work with mental health
Yeah.
and, the industry and everything that affects our health and our, you know, everything that concerns our wellness. So, just a little bit of background, 1 minute introduction of you and what you do. So, I'll start now from the catalyst.
All right, thank you very much. I just simply help people live wholesome lives, and for you to transition from where you currently are, to live that wholesome life, you need to have a sound mind. So I say that I transform lives by transforming minds, and mental health is really, really key to what I do. So, it's really an honor to be here, to be speaking to mental health issues on the Mental Health Day.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Naya.
I have a passion for mental health. Beyond treating of mental health challenges,
Mhm.
I also focus on mental wellness,
Mm,
preventive care for everyone because I know that everyone has a mental health. And over the years, I have come to realize that before people get to the point where they have to seek for treatment, a lot
okay.
could have been prevented. So
Mm,
that's why my focus has been more of interventions, early stages, even before things deteriorate. In addition to that, I also run a radio show on Inspiration FM for over 4 years where we talk about mental health, mental wellness.
thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Naya. Dr.
Well,
Dorothy.
I'm Dr. Dorothy Jeff Namani. I'm the founder and CEO of Novo Health Africa. I'm a mental health enthusiast. That's how I'll call it. I love to see to look at medicine from a holistic point of view. I know that you don't, and I want people to know that you don't have to take drugs for every illness. Illnesses come in different forms. It could be physical, it could be mental, it could be social. And I find that in this community, people tend to concentrate more on physical challenges. My background is that of medicine. I'm a medical doctor. I have a background in a specialty in public health, and I also have a study in healthcare financing and control of infectious diseases.
Thank you, Dr. Sass.
All right. My name is Deji Osasono, and I also have a medical doctor training as a background training. However, my special interest is in behavioral change interventions. I change behavior, like I always say, I change behavior to improve wellness and performance. So all I do is behavioral change interventions, and I believe There are behaviors that sabotage people's mental wellness, and if you don't identify them early, they can push people to a level of mental challenge that will predispose them to suicidal tendencies. So I love preaching the gospel of mental health across all boards, not just at the individual level, even organizational level. There's no health without mental health. No health
You
without
know,
mental
I
health.
didn't even know that Dr. Osas has a medical background, and I'm happy to hear it because behavioral changes is something that all medical doctors should preach because there's some illnesses like if you're somebody who is managing diabetes or hypertension, or even we ask for you to consider change, behavioral changes. So those are the things that can help you manage something like diabetes.
So just want us to dive in based on the theme for World Mental Health Day, which is on suicide prevention. Um, what do you think, about the rates of suicides now compared to before and now that we're seeing, especially 2019? What do you think, Dr. Sass?
According to the World Federation of Mental Health, also same goes for World Health Organization. For every 40 seconds, one person dies of suicide, and that's crazy to know because just right from the time I was asked to answer the question, means someone has died of suicide.
Yeah.
That's incredibly high. And it makes matters worse when you realize that suicide is a preventable challenge. It's a preventable challenge with the right awareness and with the right expertise. And all hands have to be on deck to mitigate this growing monster because it's really a growing monster. Gone are those days when we think of suicide as something that happens in the West or in the Western world. We have it around us. And it seems as if people are becoming bolder to actually take their own life. And unfortunately, also, you just need to be on Instagram and some specific Instagram handles that I can't mention the names to read about the comments people give whenever there is a news about a suicidal attempt or a successful suicide. Just need to read through some of the comments. At times, by the time I get to like 8th, 9th, 10th comment, so irritating that I just switch over. I switch over to another handle straight away because the level of ignorance, the level of unawareness. I mean, I can give a couple of examples. For example, committing. Are you the only one in the country that you are committing suicide? Ah, if there's a suicidal attempt, let's say it was a para-suicide or a suicide that wasn't successful, you read comments like, "Let him take his life now. If he won't go, let him go now. Ah, sniper didn't work. Let him use this now." And it's just, I see it as a lack of knowledge, awareness, and ignorance, essentially, because those that are commenting that way, they don't know also. And I think it's our responsibility, those of us that know. Let's do our part, and that's why I commend Novo Earth Africa for what they're doing. Kudos to you.
Thank
Thank
you very
you.
much. Dr. Neya, you work a lot in preventive, um, interventions and to ensure that, it doesn't get to the stage of that. But from your experience, why do you think people commit suicide?
If we're able to treat as many cases as we see, then we can prevent. Another
Mm,
thing we have come to realize is that there are people who are at risk of things like this, at risk for suicide. And so when in the course of preventive, we are able to identify people who are at risk. So there are some things that would make you at the risk of the suicide. And then for people like that, they should be closely monitored. There should be better interventions to help them.
okay. Thank you very much for that. With your definition of why people, um, you know, commit suicide, Catalyst, I'm going to ask, would you say, with all the things she's listed, you know, would you say it's a loss of hope and the feeling that there's nothing here for me anymore? As in, dying is now more enticing than living. Summing all the things that she's listed.
I mean, they say that 90% of all suicide cases is result from depression, and if we break down, the construct of depression is, gloom, doom, um, despondency, hopelessness, sadness. Um, you can't see any reason to live for. And going back to what Dr. Osaz has said, if you know the feeling, if you felt the feeling before, that's the only time that you can understand why the choice of death trumps the choice
Of
of life.
no.
You know, and for people out there that don't understand it, all you just need to think about is this, right? Why would someone get to a point where they choose to take their own life rather than choose to fight to live? If you think about it, think about when you are killing a goat or a ram,
Mhm.
even a chicken, how hard that chicken fights for. And even after you slit that chicken's throat, that chicken is still
Still
fighting.
moving. Mm.
So, you know, to take a human life is one of the most difficult things to do. Then to take your
Your
own
own
life
life.
by yourself, it, it cannot be an easy decision. And for someone to make that decision, it means that, they're not thinking right. Emotionally, they're not in the right
Yeah.
place. Psychologically, they're not in the right place. Environmentally, they don't feel like there's any support,
Yeah.
there's any hope. They don't feel like anybody loves me. In fact, quite a number of people have said that then they will know, then they will feel my pain.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Because they don't feel like anyone around
Yes.
them is supportive,
Understanding what they're going through.
is understanding what they're saying. When they've spoken to you about how they feel, you will tell them, I beg, black people don't go through this. You are weak.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Now and so for them also, they found enough justification to end a life than to give life or to fight for life. So
Mm.
it is one of the most difficult decisions, and it shouldn't be taken lightly at all. Now, speaking to environmental support, it is important for family members, friends to really be aware and observant. We all need to go and understand what the symptoms are because it's closer than we know. They say 1 in 5 people in a lifetime will suffer from one form of mental
Mental
health
health
or
or
the
the
other.
other, yes.
So it may be you, it may be your sister, it may be your brother, it may be a member of your family, it may be your besto, your best friend. And if you do not know what the symptoms are, then you don't know what to do. Now you need to, acquire the knowledge and understand the symptoms and begin to observe. Because someone that is suffering from a mental health issue will not check themselves into a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Very unlikely. It's not like when you have malaria or when you have high blood pressure, you start to feel uncomfortable. That person just wants to lock themselves up in a room,
Mm-hmm.
in a dark room. They don't want to eat. They just want to keep sleeping. Some of them can't sleep. They don't want to see anyone. They're not going to take your calls. So if you have a friend or a member of family that you keep calling, and you observe that, that person no longer wants to pick up their phone. That person no longer wants to socialize. That person no longer wants to leave the room. That person is sleeping, unusually. Then you need to begin to ask yourself, then listen to the kinds of words that the kinds of things that they say. Oh yeah, you don't love me. There's no reason for me to leave anymore. And they start to speak hopeless words. Then you know that there's something wrong. At that point, you need to get help for them because they're not going to check themselves in.
It's true.
You need to get them to see a psychiatrist, a
Yeah.
psychologist, a therapist that begins to even unbundle their issues. And a lot of times, right, you know, it's the thoughts that they've thought over time,
Yeah.
over and over and over
Mm-hmm.
again,
Mm-hmm.
that compounds it. Focus amplifies. And so you on the outside may be looking at it and saying that, "Ah, but everybody else is going through that problem now," but you don't know how they've thought over it, they've regurgitated it, they've meditated on it, and so they've amplified the issue to such an extent that it's so overwhelming. They can't think of anything else or make any decisions. And it's important that I also say that every decision that we make is based on an emotion.
Mm.
And so if your emotions are negative, limiting, disempowering emotions, then your decisions will be negative, limiting, disempowering. Then your actions will be negative, limiting, disempowering. And then it will end up in outcomes that are negative, limiting, and
And disempowering.
disempowering.
So just to add to what Coach has said, you know, the decision to commit suicide, like I think Dr. Saz also mentioned it, is not something that happens immediately. It's not an action that somebody just thinks about on the spot. It always has to do with, a lengthy uh, time on depression. You say somebody who has suffered depression, because even somebody who's suffered a level of depression is a depression that has gone deep and over a long period of time. So there's no way somebody around, a friend or a family, a loved one, would not have noticed that this person has changed. We'll talk about those changes later. So the thought, suicidal thought, is actually a symptom of depression.
Mm.
So we need to know that we have responsibility towards those people. There's something that is called survivor guilt. That is the guilt that we ourselves feel when somebody we know commits suicide. Because
Mm.
at times they commit this suicide, maybe not just to punish us, you know what I mean? Some of them, because they think they're a burden to you, they actually do it on your behalf. So imagine how it feels when you're thinking that somebody actually committed suicide on your, not my behalf, on your behalf. That's terrible. That's a thought that many of us would even, that can even push us into mood disorder.
Yeah.
So that somebody is depressed can, along the line, actually make you depressed if the person goes to the extent of committing suicide.
Yeah.
So we need to know that we have that responsibility, because I, I I know that sometimes people see, like some friends I had were talking about suicide prevention,
Prevention.
and it's like, how does that concern me? So it's not just about somebody who has committed suicide. It's about the people around that person who has to live with that problem,
For the rest.
that this person I know actually committed suicide and I couldn't do anything about, because that's when you start telling yourself, oh, was that why she was behaving somehow? Oh, was this why, and all that. And these are things that we see, but we play about it. You
Yeah.
just see it and say, ah, come on, Nana, is it you behaving like this? So you could have been more. So let's take it serious, knowing that mood swings in time can actually progress to somebody having suicidal thoughts. And from a gender perspective, women are three times, more likely to have try suicide attempts than men. But men are four times more likely to succeed,
Mm.
to succeed in suicide attempt and actually commit suicide.
Mm.
So it's something that it's good that this World Health Day, which is tomorrow, that this has been brought to the fore, and then we can talk about it, knowing that it's actually depression, anxiety, and all that actually leads
Leads
to
to
suicide.
suicide.
People start, it's
Yeah.
a mood disorder. People start thinking irrationally. So
Mm.
if you're not having suicidal thoughts, don't even try to imagine. So don't push it away when somebody is saying things like, I don't want to live anymore, Shebi, I will soon die, all of you will be
We'll be
okay.
happy.
Because
Yeah.
we hear sometimes, I want to, exactly. So let's know that you can't imagine how that person is thinking. So don't try to understand it. What you should do is to immediately get the person some help.
Oh, fantastic. On that note, I want to ask you, Doc, um, what age range? What's the common age range? Of people that commit suicide. Is there any
Yeah. Well,
um
based on statistics, the leading cause of death between the ages of 15 and 29 years
You,
is suicide. And there are certain age grades that have been notoriously known for high rate of suicide. Teens, elderly is above 65, especially when there's a loss of a loved one or companion or a loss of a major life investment. And so just to quickly add something, because there's something I experienced in the last 1, 2 years. I know I've seen or heard is very common with Nigerians. Maybe because of our highly religious tendency. Uh, so there are some signs of suicide that I think specially developed. For example, let me give you a classical statement. You will not see this most likely in textbooks or online that has its source from the Western world. For
Mm.
example, when someone, there was a time there was like two different buildings collapsed within a span of 1 week in Lagos. And there was a
I
lady
remember. Yeah.
that someone called me to talk about what do I think. I said, please don't stay far away from that lady. And what happened? When the lady heard about these two buildings that collapsed, just like a joke, the lady mentioned that even this building we are in now collapsed. What's the big deal?
Mm.
That's a clear signal of societal tendency. You hear statements like from very religious people now, uh, even after it happens now, it's even better. Let's just end everything and escape from
Mm.
this shameful world. That's a signal of societal tendency.
Being,
Some will say, I
being
just want
hopeless.
to escape everything. I just want to escape everything. Or statement like, I can't keep eating my own wahala in Nigeria. I can't keep
Exactly.
suffering these family
Mm-hmm.
members.
Mm-hmm.
That's a signal. Don't leave that person alone because, like the catalyst mentioned, most times suicidal tendencies in people have already hijacked their sense of reasoning and
Yes.
judgment, and most likely they will not seek professional help themselves. It's the
Mm.
people around them that are able to spot it at the right time and take them. Because for every successful society, according to statistics, there are about 20 failed ones.
Mm. Dr. Dorothy, do you want to add to that?
Well, he practically said that it's common amongst the youth. So, and when you think that the youths are the ones who tend to be on social media, they're the ones who are exposed with the barrage of information or illusions we tend to see on social media. Um, we would expect that, yes, definitely, that it will affect them, a lot more. So it's higher in youth between that age range of 15 to 29. And also that's because they're also the ones who are confronted with both emotional issues. It could be somebody who boyfriend left her, or the girlfriend at that age, especially the young adults now. If you're over 21, we didn't talk about the younger. They're the ones who finish school and can't get a job. So that is another issue. They're the ones who have maybe had a type of maybe have dreamt to have to live in certain way, and they're not meeting up financially, maybe because they can't find that type of job, especially in our society now. So relationship issues, they have a lot of it. Financial issues, they are also, most affected. And emotional. So the youth actually who are the targets
At risk?
most times. Yes, they are at risk.
Okay, while we're discussing, Dr. Maimuna walked in. Welcome, Dr. Maimuna, the celebrity shrink. Thank you for joining us. She is the MD, CEO, founder, CFO,
All the old.
All the
all the
old.
old of Pinnacle Medical. So we've been discussing, suicide prevention, following on the theme for the World Mental Health Day 2019. Based on what Dr. Dorothy has said, these are like societal pressures, right, for the youth. What are what are some of the things that we can do to? I mean, I don't think it's going to stop. I think it's going to, or do you think it's going to stop, or it's going to increase?
Social
How
media
can we
is
now?
getting
How
worse.
can even young people,
Not going anywhere.
buffer themselves, or even parents help to ensure that these people, the target, the people who die 15 to 29, mostly from suicide, how can they be protected? How can they protect themselves from some of these things that put them at risk?
The World Health Organization statistics that says half of all mental illnesses start before the age of 14.
Yes.
Mm. Mm.
So if parents understand this, and that is why they say knowledge is not power, it's applied knowledge that is power. We have to equip ourselves. Parents have to go back to what we call intentional parenting, in the sense that these challenges are not going to go away anytime soon. They are going to be more
social media will increase. In fact, new things will come up every day. So how should we parents equip ourselves in such a way that our children don't have that huge sense of entitlement that they are having right now? There's no longer what we call delayed gratification. Children want it now, they want it, they don't care how you want it. So, and children don't just get to learn these things now. It's from what we write. Children come in with a plain mind. What we write in their mind, the school, the society, everybody. So what we deposit in them, we have to change that narrative. And by doing that, going back to intentional parenting, going back to the fact that spanking and beating is not the ultimate, let's discuss. Let's talk about it. Come up with superior arguments. You are not saying that you are no longer a parent, but you are letting that child know that this is good part, this is wrong part. Let's create mental agility for our children. Let's create resilience. We because we didn't eat 3 times a day, or we ate without meat. Now we have money. We now want to kill our children with excessive meat, or we want to make sure that we close down the slaughter to bring the cow to the house. Everything the child wants, we are giving the child. But the workplace, the Ajegule child will be in the workplace. The Cambridge child will be in the workplace. The Mushin child will be in the workplace. People have grown agility and resilience, and they have street intelligence. You that pampered your child, that gave your child everything, will be in that workplace. How will that child thrive? We shouldn't only preach surviving. We should preach how we can thrive above all these trials. So the onus lies a lot on parents and parenting and getting it right. Because even children, because of Google and because of social media, they easily go on the net and check for symptoms of what they are experiencing, and it falls in, oh, I'm depressed. Then they go to the mother or the father or both. They start casting and binding. It's not our portion. Shut up. You have a roof over your head. You have
How
clothes.
can you be
Do you know how much I pay for your school fees?
Uh-huh.
We start, going on and on. We have to learn the skill of listening non-judgmentally instead of listening to respond to our children. I'm an expert, and I see children come to me every now and then. So my own parenting style has changed. I won't sit down and say because I'm an expert, so I know what will happen. I don't have to wait for a crisis. Now we sit down to dialogue. I come up with superior argument. When I know I'm losing the argument, I will form as if I'm not too fine. Can we do this topic another time? Then I will go and equip myself because the children in fact they are 10 times ahead of you. You should be 30 times ahead of them. Bring life experiences. Let your children also know that you are failed to cope, because it's not one way now to parent a child. Though, if this is the way, and if you have 2, 3 children, they are thinking differently. It's so difficult to parent now that you will need parenting seminar every now and then. If it is coach, how are you doing your girls? My daughter has reached this stage. Dr. Ontupo, how? Dorothy, you know, say you be our senior. Your children, they undergo. We never reach there. You have to find ways and also monitor your children, sound them out. Don't compare. You are always failing. Your sister is always, those things. Words, you cannot retrieve them. You have to, that's why we talk about the depositing. You have to deposit positive things in them. Even if you are angry, don't say your life will not be good. You just say, may God forgive you. You have to just find a way. If not, if you keep saying life is not good for the child, then it's not good for you because your old age.
I was going to say also that this is not the time where a child says, you don't understand me, mommy, you don't understand me, and you now keep quiet.
Yes.
Do something about it immediately.
Yes,
You need to, if you hear that, oh, you don't understand me, or nobody understands me in this house, that is serious. Make sure you leave everything, change everything, turn things around, and start understanding that child.
Okay.
It's sending you a message. It's not like when we were growing up. You dare even not tell your parents, you don't understand me. Nobody, they wouldn't even hear that. It's just you don't have the guts, we don't have the liver. But this time we're in this social media age, if you ever hear you don't understand me or nobody understands me in this house,
Nobody listens
please
to
drop
me.
everything and run, because they're going to go and look for somebody
Who
who will understand
understands?
them outside and woe betide you if that person now wrongly understands them.
Okay.
It's finished.